What is going on, guys? Brando here, back with another video. And today I thought I'd drop a video on the whole DPS meta controversy. So there's been a lot of videos, people going back and forth, and basically I'm trying to be the most non-biased, impartial about the whole thing with the meta. And basically, there was a video just dropped recently by LV, and he made a video talking about the meta, and he was clearing up some info on things about Omega and not needing to use it. But basically, I was in the video like very, very fast. It was like a snippet of one of my videos, but it was an older video. It was about a month ago, and it was a guide on the last DLC, and I hadn't even made a video, an updated guide for this DLC yet, because I felt like it was a little too soon. But I did have a DPS run I made 12 days ago, and that's been actually the loadout I've been using for this DLC, which is, so I haven't been using Omega, so I just wanted to clear that up as far as on my end, as far as using Omega or not. Basically, I went into the raid. I did like one run with Omega, and then I started, making a quick little build, because I realized how fast, the fights transition from hallways to bosses, and everything is just getting deleted fast. So the raid right now is honestly, I could say it's a joke. So yeah, I'm just making this quick video. I just decided I'll update my water loadout for the DLC. But basically, I'm using the same exact loadout on the video I made 12 days ago, which was literally almost right when the DLC started. So I haven't been using Omega personally. But yeah, I'm just kind of giving my 2 cents on the whole meta. I'm not the top DPS. I'm not claiming best loadouts, any of that stuff. But I'm just trying to give the most impartial, non-biased take on this whole like controversy. Because when people start doing this, they start just trying to attack sides, things like that, claiming oh, this is best. I get it too. Like people make videos and thumbnails and titles trying to grab viewers and stuff like that. I personally, I've never done that. I literally make raw footage, unedited, as I just, talk about my videos right now. This is all not edited or anything. So yeah, let's jump into it. Like I said, 12 days ago, I made a video, and it was just a regular MOE run, and I was just showcasing my personal setup. So yeah, in terms of the whole like Omega using it's not meta. So pretty much for as of right now, water's the closest power to where you don't necessarily have to use Omega. You could do just fine without Omega. I would say, I can't say that for every power, but I'm pretty sure I could say water's like the only one where you can get by. You don't have to necessarily use Omega. But there is times where it can be a more consistent approach to, you know, to still using it even as water. And one of the prime examples of that was the last raid. That the hallways on that raid was just freaking, it was huge. There was ads everywhere. It took time for tanks to group ads. You know what I mean? And that's what it all comes down to, is if you're in a linear raid, very like small structured linear, and the tank can literally group the ads fast on each little set, then using the sword and lasso is perfectly fine. You don't necessarily need Omega. You can literally get by just doing this and having lasso, literally. And that's kind of what it's come down to. I feel like in this raid, it's leaning a little bit more towards where you don't necessarily have to use Omega. Now, let's say you do want to run Omega, you perfectly can. You can run Omega and be fine. There's really we don't have even that good of comparisons, like even testing metas, finding out what's best right now, because literally everything just dies fast, like it's a joke. So, you know, that's why the loadout that I'm about to show you is based off of currently what this raid has to offer. This is honestly is a lazy approach. Like, it's my armory, I just call it the one for all. Literally, you can use this and you can do solid in the raid. Because there's nothing much to it. Things are dying fast, and yeah, I've been using this since, you know, my last video 12 days ago, roughly right when the DLC came out. And it's always been a thing. Like, people have been testing not running Omega, and just to see how it is, and it's not bad. But like I said, you could still run Omega, and it's Omega is good for the majority of the powers. The only one that's starting to, you know, can get away from that depending on content is water, just because of how strong this this melee power of the sword is. The only thing holding this back is that it's melee. It's close quarters. But that's why I go back to what I was saying with this current raid is very linear. Tanks can group stuff quick. You just go in there, you get into a pack of ads, you know, boom, boom, boom. You start using your sword, hit your lasso, sword, boom, they're dead. You know what I mean? So the whole raid though is a joke. So that's why it's like, okay, whether you use Omega or not, it's not a huge deal right now. Yeah. Now the big thing, what I'm thinking, is when this Hardlight, this is my kind of take. When this Hardlight revamp comes out, and if they actually make Hardlight that OP, like how they buffed water, Hardlight could be even more of a power where you don't need Omega, because the only thing that holds water back from maybe having to use Omega is because this is a close quarter power. But let's say Hardlight, when they do the revamp, they have it where, you know, the combo powers are just crack damage, like the fan, like you're spamming, or the like the spam combo with a fan, the clipping and all that. If that thing is hitting crazy damage, and it's like literally better, it's like the sword where it's like better than Omega, then why not just use that and run Ebon? And now with that power, you're gonna be able to. It's gonna be a max range power, and that's the biggest drawback of the sword, which is why Omega is used still in situations. So we gotta see. That's why I'm hoping Hardlight, I hope it's better than water. The only drawback though Hardlight's gonna have is that water has dehydrate, so it makes it literally a beast for a single target. The dehydrate right there, you see right there, it makes it a beast for ST damage. Like, it's crazy. The only thing that Hardlight, if they're gonna be able to pull off ST, in my opinion, is hand clap is gonna have to be just crazy damage. You're gonna be spamming, you're gonna be spamming hand clap and just freaking just hitting, big time numbers, and doing the combos and clipping. So we got to see that. That's only the chance Hardlight has. It's gonna be tough. I hope it's like better or similar. At least, I hope it's similar. I think AOE for Hardlight can be better, possibly than water. But yeah, the big thing is gonna be ST. But we got to see. But yeah. So yeah, that's just my quick the part one of this video, just kind of talking about the DPS meta, clearing up the whole thing with me using Omega and things like that. Like I said, I have my video 12 days ago, right when the DLC roughly came out, and I've been running not Omega, but I'm not here to say that Omega is not the move, because bottom line, water's only one power out of, I don't even know how many powers there are in DC. It was like 10 plus powers. I'm not sure on the exact number, but yeah, water's only one power out of like all the other powers. So yeah, bottom line, Omega is still used in a lot of situations, especially with every power, with the exception of water's getting close to where you don't necessarily have to use Omega, but you still can. Like, it's nothing crazy right now. This raid is not a good example anyway of really showing that what's the true meta. Maybe when Plus comes out, everything gets a little bit more beefier on the health, things like that. We can the margins of what's good and what's not will be wider. We'll be able to tell more at the end of a raid. And then too, on top of that, there's so many variables that come into play. How experienced that DPS is, getting EOGs, and there's a lot of variables. So it's hard to tell sometimes. Yeah. So yeah, part one video just talking about that, the DPS controversy meta, and then right now, second part of this video, just gonna quickly show an updated my water, which is exactly the same as my video 12 days ago when I ran MOE. I'm using the same things at the start of this DLC. Pretty much, I wasn't running. I literally have one armory. I wasn't running Omega. So yeah. So let me just quickly show. I run Book, Ebon, EOG, Scrap, Trans. If you're running like a solo or alert and you're running no heal, you're gonna have to drop Book, and then you're gonna put in Candle. But yeah, for raids, this is what it's gonna look like. So for AOE, this is what I use. It's very simple. You got your 3 supercharges. You got the Superman Iconic. You got Neo. You got Lasso. You got Call of the Deep. And then I run the Sword, and I run Tsunami. So I run Tsunami just in case if I have to max range for whatever reason. But really, if you want to maximize your true close range hallway setup, you could actually drop Tsunami, and you could put in Water Spouts. Water Spouts is good because it hits. It's like a Kilber wave. It's like it's on Quantum's power, where when you hit that power, it hits like surrounding things behind you. And Water Spouts is really good. It hits surrounding around you too, so it kind of helps out the balance of the sword. When maybe let's say the adds aren't grouped yet, you could be running Water Spouts initially, right when the ads start out, before they're grouped, to kind of hit everything before they're grouped. So it'd be like this, boom. Oh shoot, ads are grouped. Let's go. Boom. Lasso. Boom. You know, as they're grouped. Oh, we're running in a new set. Boom. You know, they're not grouped yet. You know, something like that. So just so you guys kind of get the idea. I'm not doing that right now. Like I said, I'm trying to do the most setup for not having to swap any armorings. So that's why I have this just in case, and I'm just kind of doing this essentially. Yeah, this is basically how it's gonna look. 1 second, let me respond real quick. But yeah, that's basically how it's gonna look. You got this too. If you're max range for whatever reason, now like I said in hallways, you never really need to go to max range. There is like one example. You could technically say SFFE, the Scorchers, I believe they're called. They're these certain ads where if you get close, they literally one-shot you. But then again, you could use water spouts and be like mid to max range and hit them. But you can't use a sword on them because you'll end up getting one-shotted. That's why you could use Tsunami. So that's why I have this just in case. But like I said, if you want the true best setup, I would say water spouts would be the move. But yeah, the whole idea though, this loadout that I have right now is just a one for all. I don't need to switch for anything, and it's solid. Now it's not necessarily the best. It's not the best, but we have to look at what we're dealing with this raid, and everything is dying fast. So I'm like, we're getting to boss fights fast, we're transitioning to everything's fast, and it's like switching armories is just glitchy. Like people are getting locked out of armories, and the last thing you want to do is in a run like that is it's worse to be locked out into a full AoE armory than to just use something like this where all you do is switch in between tray 1 and 2 and you're doing good. Because like, let's say you have a full AoE hallway loadout specialized on AoE, and let's say you have that and you're missing dehydrate. Let's say you just have that, right? Theoretically you didn't have dehydrate, and then you, for whatever reason, you get locked out on armory during a boss fight and you can't use dehydrate. So it's just little things like that. Now come plus guys, this come plus, my what I'm thinking is come plus, I'll make 2 different armories and I'll have like specializing in each area, just because I'm hoping that things will actually feel more tankier, a little bit slower, things like that. But then again, I don't know, we'll see. The plus releases have been a joke too. They've been very similar to Reg Elite. So we got to see. We got to see how it goes. So yeah, that's could be a different scenario there. Now this is what I'm using, right? So of course this is all got the white lantern ring, blue lantern ring. So I'm using, like I said, this is a balanced one for all setup, right? So that's why I'm using Cyborg. I feel like Cyborg is a balanced ally for both AoE and ST. Now, if I was like doing separate loadouts to maximize each area, AoE I would use Superboy, and boss I would use Flashpoint Batman is really strong in ST, or you could just use John Constantine. So okay, so here's another thing that's kind of different that I do. I'm not saying it's the best, but it helps. I feel like it helps me in my everyday runs, dealing with playing with different trolls and them trying to keep up my power. So I use John Stewart to help a little bit with power, because running Ebon and using these powers can be power hungry. So I do that, and it also buffs 6% might. So I get a little might now and then. You could run static, You could run static as well. That's an option. Now, of course, I'm using Flash. This is 100% must. Everyone should have Flash as their support ally. And yeah, so the idea behind why I'm not doing the whole Tray 2 Sport Pod weapon buff, what is it, Riptide clip right here, because that's originally what I had on my last loadout. I don't do that anymore because I'm using Ebon. So a lot of people, they would do that clip and then they weren't using Ebon, because using Ebon and that whole might stack buff where you do that big clip and then you use Starfire, it is insanely power hungry. I'm sorry, but you really can't run the two. It's like really power hungry in everyday like runs, even with good trolls. Like it's freaking power hungry. So running Ebon and Starfire and doing that whole clip, it's super. So the reason why I choose the Ebon route and I don't do the whole Starfire clip in like a Tray 2 loadout is because when you test out the might, the Ebon cap of might, just doing Ebon, it caps at a very similar might. So right now I'm at like mil? It caps at a very similar might as doing the extra stack of the Starfire weapon buff Riptide stack, right? It actually caps very similar. Now the Starfire extra stack, the might, it is slightly higher, but it's not by much. I could just show you real quick right now, actually. So let's see, Ebon. We are max. Was that okay? Let's remember that right there. Now let's jump quickly. Let's throw on Starfire. You guys can get an idea here. Go here. I'll just I'll put it right here. Let's do that. Boom. Let's do Riptide. Okay. And then we are going to take off Ebon, because realistically, when you do this, people are not running Ebon. They're running Candle, or they're running Omega. You would run if you're doing like an Omega setup. A lot of people will do. So let's just show you real quick. Okay, we got it in. Boom. Weapon buff, 8%. So we're going to do it. So we remember what we got for Ebon. Let's see what we can get for this. Okay. We got 927. Just going to wait a little bit. Okay, 927. 927. 927. Okay. Okay, there it is. 102. Okay. 102. 102. So then it drops. You lose that highest stack right there after like halfway through. Okay. 102. So Jesus. Okay, 102. Why is it actually lower? Oh, you know what? It's because John Stewart. So 102. So it's actually lower than the Ebon, but that's because, let me remove John Stewart. It's throwing off the test. But yeah, you do get might from John Stewart. So let's throw off the test. It should be a little bit lower than Ebon. Okay. So there you go. So you can see the difference. So that's 1 mil, 8,000, and then it goes up. So, okay, remember that. And then we'll go back to Starfire. Where's Starfire at? Let's see. Boom, weapon buff. Okay. Oh, I gotta put in the powers. I've switched armories. Okay. So you guys remember that? 1 mil for Ebon? Let me just put on Omega. Basically just anything but Ebon. because people, you can't really run Ebon doing this whole clip. It is insane power. And then you throw on Spore Pod too. We'd be doing a 3-way clip. Okay. So 927. So for the most part, this is where your might's going to be, which is less than Ebon. Only when you get a perfectly timed clip, you're going to be above it by a little bit. You guys see the difference. What is that? 10,000 might? So, okay, look, 21. So 21, and then the other one was 8,000. Like 8,000 something. So it's like a 10,000 might difference. Let me make sure I'm looking at the numbers right, just to make sure. I don't want to be saying random wrong shit here. Yeah. Because it was 21. Yeah. So that's what you can see. So that's what I kind of look at it, right? I'm doing extra work to get a might that's very, just a little bit high. And on top of that, it's a little bit high, but you're doing more work, and it's also power hungry. But on top of that, you're only getting that extra might stack with a perfectly timed clip, to where you have to restack it by during that time, and then you get that buff for like a few seconds, not the whole time. So you could see it drops down to 927. So it drops below an Ebon stack. Right now, you guys are going to see, look at the Ebon stack. This is with John Stewart, though. Right now, I got John Stewart. So it goes way up, right? It's a big buff. So yeah, that's the whole reason why I personally use John Stewart. Helps with power, and then it gives that might increase. It does have a cooldown, though. So that's personally what I'm running. So I think it's nice. I'm trying, because I'm getting older on this game, and I've been playing for a long time. I'm trying to just simplify it the easiest for me. Like I said, maximizing everything. I would say this would not be the best. Maximizing it would be, I would be having 2 armories. I would be doing the whole swap. But when I look at it realistically in a run, I feel like it's not worth it enough, because what's going to happen is you're going to be getting missed. You can be getting missed extra stack weapon buffs if you're going in late to your trade 2, for example. Let's say you just get caught up in the timing and you end up going late into it. It's going to happen naturally. This, you don't worry about it. You're getting your Ebon. So you got to look at it like that. Is it worth it doing the extra work? And you can, if you're a super dialed in DPS, it's definitely you can do it. This is the route I'm going right now. So I'm using this setup. And then now, obviously, very simple for ST. It's it's very simple. Boom. Once dehydrate goes here. Boom. You got max stacks. I always wait for dehydrate to get to max. Boom. I still like to use the water bubble. Damn, water sword's glitching up right now. That can happen too, by the way. It's so annoying. I don't even know the true fix to fix it. I'm not even sure how to do that. Let's see if it's good. Okay. So we're gonna be max right now. Boom. And that's it. And then I still, like I said, I still use Tsunami just in case. That's why, because this is a one-for-all loadout. 1.6. I'm trying to do the most simplified setup. 1.3. Dehydrate crits, man, it's crazy damage. Six. Yeah, I've hit up the highest I've hit is a freaking is a 2 mil. It's crazy. Just compared to every other power, it's just crazy. It's insane, and it's so easy. Like there's nothing to it. Right now too, I'm not getting true content numbers because the book, my health is freaking, you know what I mean? My health is all low, so you never can test out book unless you have a healer. You can only test it out like on the first parse maybe. Like watch, let me get max health real quick. Let's get max health, and even then you can't really. Oh shit, my dehydrate went away. Let's see, max health by the time it takes. Your bigger parses are going to be too, whether dehydrate crits or not. That's when you're going to get your higher numbers. Boom. Look at that. And just I casually hit a 2.1. Just crazy. That's crazy, man. Man, I don't know. It's going to be tough. It's going to be tough for Hardlight to top ST. But the thing is not, I mean, lately we've been able to melee everything, but it's not always going to be the case. We might be having to do Tsunami. You know? And that's why I have Tsunami here, just in case. And then you just do your boom. But the numbers are still good for this too. You guys can see. It's not bad. That's why I'm hoping Hardlight is just a beast. I'm hoping like the hand clap is hitting crazy. If the hand clap's just hitting crazy, the fan AoE combo thing's hitting crazy, then Hardlight could be good for max range or something, right? But yeah, you guys can see the difference here in the parses of Tsunami versus the Water Sword. And honestly, the whole reason to why the parses are lower is because how fast the melee sword builds up dehydrate. But these numbers are still crazy. Like these numbers are still good compared to every other power. Like if you look at every other power's parses, these numbers are like good. They're better. They're better than other powers. But yeah, so we really haven't been having to use Tsunami. We haven't been having to really use Tsunami lately. But yeah, so this is kind of my little. This has been my build for this DLC since the raid came out, and you guys can see when I made my video 12 days ago, roughly right when the DLC came out, I was using this. I wasn't using Omega. So when LV just made his video a few hours ago, he was wrong about that. But I mean, it's whatever. He was just, I guess, looking at my guide videos only, because I hadn't updated. I was like, it's too early to update a guide already. But then I was like, you know what? I'll do it now and talk real quick about the whole controversy. But yeah, I'm not here to make drama or talk about things. I'm just trying to have a very non-biased, impartial, my personal take on it. Yeah, this is what I've personally been using. Like I said, you can do the Omega route too, and it's good. You can do the whole extra, go into trade 2, have your extra, weapon buff, Starfire, get that extra might, you can do that too. That little clip for me. Right now with what the content and the raid for what this thing has to offer, for me personally, I don't think it's worth it. I'm doing, a more simplified approach to the raid and what DC has to offer right now, in terms of how the content is, like we're blowing through hallways, we're freaking transitioning into boss fights fast. That time it takes for you to transition into your armory, the boss already lost fucking 25% health. What I mean? It's just insane, right? I'm just giving you an example. Like, it's just, so like that's why I just kind of condensed everything. I eliminated certain things that I don't think are worth enough, and I just made everything into one loadout with 2 trays that can handle boss fights and AoE. Like I said, this one loadout does not specialize completely on each of its things in a raid, if that makes sense. Like, this loadout is not the maximized best potential for hallways. This loadout isn't the maximized best potential for boss fights. But when you look at it realistically, what the content offers, like, not it actually is very like good. It's solid, if that makes sense. But on paper, it's not like the best, if that makes sense. So, like I said, if you were going to do the best, you can make changes. Maybe for hallways, you can maybe throw on Omega. You could throw on Starfire. You can throw on Superboy. And you can do stuff like that. But yeah, when I look at it, man, things are dying so fast. It's like, okay, I'm doing a more simplified approach to it. And that's what I've been doing since the DLC came out, and it's been working. I've been putting up good numbers, and it's not too bad. But yeah, back to the whole meta thing. I think both can be used, and I think both, like Omega or not, for when it comes to water, is they're both fine, especially for this raid right now. I think in B&E, the last raid, I think Omega was the more consistent approach for the hallways, because guys, the hallways were just crazy in B&E. Like, the tank could not group up the adds that fast. Even if you're a beast, tryhard, like super good tank, it was harder to group them up fast. That's why Omega was good for that, especially that raid. You could hit everything, right? Omega hits, it has a wide AoE versus the sword. You're limited to that narrow, that melee range. But yeah, in this raid, like I said, it's more linear. Tanks can group things faster, and everything is just quick. So that's why I like this setup. Yeah, so that's kind of my whole take on it. And these are the supercharges I'm using. I always like to start off with Call of the Deep in the beginning of the raid, just massive damage for hallways, and then after that, maybe I'll use it again, maybe one more time, and then I'm just going back and forth between Neo and Sunstone, and it's good damage. So, but yeah, that's kind of it, guys. All in all, hopefully you watch the whole full video, so you can, because people start watching parts of it and they get confused, and they think you're maybe saying one thing, and then they'll comment on the video, and they don't realize everything. So you definitely you got to watch the video all for any YouTubers out there, because you can get confused on stuff and think it's something, and it's not exactly what it is, basically. So yeah, that's kind of it. Just talked about the DPS meta and my updated water rotation that I've been using for the raid. And yeah, my personal opinion, I honestly hope you know, with these revamping powers, they keep on making strong powers, and even, you know, just as better, just as good or better than water. And so we honestly, it'd be cool to get away even more, like get away from the Omega art, because for me personally, I enjoy like the bursty, just using powers, and of like of what the power has to offer, right? Just using that, you know, doing a little like the lasso tap or whatever is just so easy. Like it's fluid. Like versus Omega, it kind of, to me, it's starting to feel, it's a little like sluggish. It feels a little boring. Originally though, when Omega came out, it was awesome, you know, because it was good for the artifact, the inventory swap meta. So yeah, things like that. But I personally, I hope it kind of gets away from it, and it's starting to with water. Water's the one closest one right now, and I hope Hardlight, when that comes out, they make it just crazy damage. You know, the hand clap for ST, the fan, maybe the whip combo clip, stuff like that. So it could be fun. And we'll see if Hardlight revamp can top water, and especially for boss. You know, water's got that dehydrate, crazy, you know, one single target damage. So we gotta see how it goes. But yeah, guys, that's it for the video. Just a little, make it completely, you know, non-biased, trying to make it just my personal take on everything. And like I said, I'm not using the best maximized loadout exactly, but realistically, for what the content is right now, I feel like this is a solid loadout, and it will do well. And then I mean, basically, you know, just being power is already, or just being water is already crazy enough, right? So it's just like, just be water, put on the aquatic arsenal, and you're already beating every power in the game, you know. So it's just crazy. So, but yeah, hopefully the Hardlight revamp comes soon, and we can get that going and see how that compares to water. But yeah, guys, that's it for the video. I'll see you guys in the next one. All right, peace.